Hey guys, Duncan here. Welcome. First and foremost, subscribe to my channel, like it. I always pump out great videos. I'm going to talk about this Planned Parenthood. I'm going to talk about abortion for a second in America and the founder and exactly what the motive behind it may have been. So let's go over a few things. Well, check this out. I did some research on the computer. I love typing out things. So first thing first, let's talk about 13 things you probably don't know about the founder of Planned Parenthood, Margaret Sanger. Okay, so let's go over first. Here's a nice picture of her. We all know that's her. Okay, let's talk about number one. Number one, she proposed allowing Congress to solve population problems by appointing a parliament of population. Okay. What this was an idea that if people wanted to come to this country, they had to be fit enough. They had to be healthy enough. They had to fit a certain criteria in order to be, accepted into the country. She wanted a special parliament of individuals to dictate who we can accept as legal immigrants here. So that's the first thing to remember. Next is the number two. Sanger called the various methods of population control, including abortion, defending the unborn against their own disabilities. Okay, it says right there. Now again, what this means is unborn children that have a high risk or are going to be disabled, she feels like they're a burden. They shouldn't exist. They shouldn't live. And what she's talking about is eradicating disabled children to save them from themselves, from this ability. So just think about this. If you're an epileptic, if you're a cancer patient, if you're born with any kind of disability that makes you somewhat less human than what she thinks, you get aborted. That's number two. And remember, there's 13 things of these. We haven't even got through two, and I'm already irritated. Let's go. Number three. Sanger believed that the United States should keep the doors of immigration closed to the entrance of certain aliens whose conditions is known to be detrimental to the stamina of the race, such as feeble-minded idiots, morons, insane, syphilitic, epileptic, criminal, professional prostitutes, and others in this class barred by the immigration laws of 1924. Okay, so once again, if you don't fit into her certain box, you don't belong in this country. She's saying that somehow, if somebody says you're a little nuts, if somebody says you're not socially acceptable, that you do not deserve the right to be here. And apparently she is putting qualifications as to smart, intelligence, moronic, and idiocy. So let's keep going. There's three. So number four, she advocated a stern and rigid policy of sterilization and segregation to that grade of population whose progeny is already tainted, or whose inheritance is such that objectionable traits may be transmitted to the offspring. Okay, this means if you have certain genetic traits, such as skin colors that she didn't like, or genetic traits as a mutation that allows red hair, because at one point red hair was considered a flaw, you would not be accepted into her circle. You wouldn't be accepted to live, essentially, in America. You would be outcasted. So now here's number five. People whom Sanger considered unfit, she wrote, would be sent to farm lands and homesteads, where they would be taught to work under contentment instructors for the period of their entire lives. So now we know the founder of Planned Parenthood was all about slavery. If you were unfit, you were supposed to go work at camps for the rest of your life. Okay, unfit by her standards. Keep that in mind. Here's 5 things about the founder of Planned Parenthood, and the list has 13. Should we continue? This is the person that was largely responsible for Roe versus Wade and an abortion in this country. You think she was a bit racist? I don't know. Let's continue to find out. So here we are, number 5. So let's go to number 6. She was an advocate of a proposal called the American Baby Code. The results desired are obviously selective births, she wrote. Okay, saying the code would protect society against the propagation of and increase of the unfit. So in other words, poor people. If you did not make enough money and you were not considered properly protected by society, you were essentially unfit to have children or to propagate, to have sex, to have kids. Okay, this is the lady that once again founded Planned Parenthood. Number 7. While advocating for the American Baby Code, she argued that marriage licenses should provide couples with the right to only a common household, but not parenthood. In fact, couples should have to obtain a permit to become parents. Okay? So let me get this straight. Now she's saying that in order to become a parent in this country, you have to go get a permit? Do you have to fill out some application to prove that you're not handicapped or mentally insane, or maybe your skin's the wrong color or you got a genetic flaw? I mean, what is she saying here? She's saying that you have to be a special kind of person to even live in this country, and if you have any of these problems, you should just be aborted, because that's birth control, otherwise known as population control. Here we go. So we have all these different articles, okay? This even admits that it sounds highly revolutionary, okay? But it might be impossible to put the scheme into practice. Oh, but it's not, because that's what they're doing today. They put it into practice, okay? She added, what is social planning without a quota? Okay, what this means is a certain number of people that will be allowed a quota. Okay, this means how many people can we fit into this? Think about that. What does a quota mean? This means acceptable rate. This means a baseline for what you are supposed to make, a quota. Okay, she believed that large families were detrimental to society. Okay, so she advocated for small families. She advocated for the single family. She believed that big families with big structure were detrimental to society. So she would do anything. Her exact words were, the most serious evil of our times is that of encouraging the bringing into the world of a large families. The most immoral practice of the day is breeding too many children. Okay, this is a lady that came from a large family. She saw her mother die early, raising a lot of kids, so she used her own what she felt, her own opinion that she generated by lifelong experience. She used this to create a biased opinion about population control, and about aborting or murdering unborn children. She didn't talk about aborting white, wealthy families and this and this. She's aborting unfit, as she put it, people in minority groups, people of mental health problems or physical disabilities. These are the people she's targeting. Okay, so when you're thinking about Planned Parenthood, remember the founder of that would just assume abort 70% of the population in this country. So just think about that. So here's the most merciful thing that the large family does to one of its infant members is to kill it. That's her words. Let's see that again. Look, the most merciful thing that the large family does to one of its infant members is to kill it. Okay, that's your founder of Planned Parenthood. Okay. She argued that motherhood must be efficient. Okay. Now, how is it that this lady was given the ability to get government funded money and an organization that was backed up by the government that essentially controlled, eradicated, and silenced an entire population of people? All these people had flaws, genetic flaws, disabilities, maybe the skin color was a flaw in her mind. People of poverty, people who couldn't afford in her mind to live in America, they must be eradicated. Okay, so when you talk about the population of people who voted for women's rights, who voted for Roe versus Wade, and voted for abortion, listen to what you voted for. This is what abortion turned into. Okay, you allowed one of the most racist women in the world at that time to create an organization that convinced an entire population of people to eradicate their youth. And it's not done. As you can say, there's still more. Okay, there's still more here. It goes on and on and on. Okay? By her own definition, these sick people, these black people, these Hispanic people, these minority groups were a burden to the American society. And that we should wipe them out. Eradicate them. That was her words. She's the one that created the birth controls. She's the one that came up with the ideas of abortion. So you tell me how it is when you're looking at this Democratic Liberal Party that claims to be all about the American people, that claims to be all about equality. You tell me how they got convinced to allow one of the most racist speakers, controversial speakers, who has spoke many times at KKK rallies. How did you allow her the ability to eradicate an entire population with abortion? Abortion is wrong. Roe versus Wade has always been illegal. It's always been unconstitutional. The American people got subverted into believing it, into buying it, and we, as America, have suffered because of it. It's time to end abortion. It's time to stop this black eye on the American history. It's time we allow unborn children to live, to quit funding the deaths of unborn children. We should teach our children that they should be responsible and that every choice they make has a consequence. You see, the real choice is not whether or not you choose to have an abortion. It's not woman's choice. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about, the real choice is whether or not you choose to have sex. That's the real choice. We can teach our children that every choice has a consequence. Just like when you have sex, the pregnancy is a consequence. So don't go crying when you get pregnant when you willingly have sex. That's the real truth here. And if anything other than that, you're believing into this lion, the racist. And that's the simple truth. So keep killing your population, keep voting for the Democrats, keep voting for her, because there's your leaders of the Democratic Party. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I hope I educated a few people. I hope I opened up some minds. Find my channel. Subscribe, guys. I'm always covering some real topics here. I don't pussyfoot around different topics. I cover the real stuff. So find my channel. Look me up. Like. Subscribe. That's it. Duncan out. Peace.